Welcome to Behind the Keys Series 2. My name is Pietro Catalano, founder and owner of CAAA, the Die Knowledge concept. Today we have a special guest, Carmelo Zappulla from External Reference. Thank you so much that you're here in Lucerne. And tell me, Carmelo, when you start your office in Barcelona with External Restaurant, which year it was? When you found your
company? Was 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
I founded the company with three friends.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this very young experience when you want to get independent. So we start collaborating together. Then after the crisis, the big economical crisis, we had a transformation in the company, and then I refounded the company by myself in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
We were a very small company at that time, and in the last 10 years, we are around 45 people.
Wow.
In Barcelona, and then we opened also in Dubai the last year. We are around 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's a company that is growing quite fast.
And you were always in new technology, really interested into.
Yeah, the technology is something. It was my passion since I was a child.
Yeah.
So I was always interested in computer. I was having my Commodore 64. I was always curious about technology in hi-fi.
Mm-hmm.
And was a very curious kid playing with my, in the garden with my grandfather and my parents. So yes, technology was always part of my life.
Yeah.
Not only like contemporary technology, but also like craft.
Yes. What is your major success when when I built this place? I never could imagine that we can print large scale.
Yeah. Talking about technology, yes. I mean, I was when I started, especially teaching at CAAA, which is the Istituto Avanzato di Arquitectura de Catalunya. I was always, playing with 3D printing, parametric design with my students, and this is something that we were already doing in the office as well. And we start applying this technology also in the large scales. And this is it's not one of the first, but one of the first 10 projects for sure.
Yeah.
And in the restaurant is the first one. Yeah. And every project we try to push the boundaries. So here, for instance, we were designing a system. It's designed for disassembling system where all the components can be assembled and disassembled, separating all the components, so you can rebuild this in another place. You can recycle all the components, and we discovered something very interesting, which is by separating, these joints of 5 millimeters are able to create a sort of diffuser for the air conditioning. So beyond, you have all the installation, all the MEP, and the air conditioning is filtrated by the same ceiling. True. So the ceiling is covering many functions in the space.
And you also was making these amazing plants, I remember.
The pure plants.
Yes, pure plants.
Yeah.
Can you tell more about this?
Yeah, sure. I mean, this is all our investigation about natural morphologies. This is this restaurant is also an example of this. So for the pure plants, I wanted to design a kind of manifesto of design artifacts that can behave like a natural organism. So through the latest computational tools, we designed these plants. So we're analyzing the phyllotaxis, which is the way in which plants are arranging the leaves in nature, which is enhancing, the exposure of the leaves to the sun and to the air. In this case, using this material that is able to absorb CO2 and greenhouse gases, which is PureTech, we were able to create a morphology that is inspired by nature, and it's artificial, but it's behaving like a natural plant in the sense that it's able to absorb CO2. Of course, it's not generating oxygen, but it's absorbing CO2 and greenhouse gases. And this project was awarded also in the Design Week in Milan by Rossano Orlandi.
That's fantastic. I mean, this is all. I could never, as I say, imagine that you're so ahead, or your company so ahead in such things and material and technology. And what are you? Do you have something you're working now on it, or in prototype, or?
Well, we have, in the last 2 years, we opened an R&D company because we realized that there was part of the company that was pushing very hard in innovation and developing patents and also industrial design. So we felt the necessity to create an independent entity which is developing softwares. We're developing softwares for even management softwares for architects, simply because we need it. So I said, why we should? How can we systematize in the office, the company? Since we are now more than 45 people, we need to take a control of what is happening.
Yes.
Especially because I'm traveling so much, so I just need a very short resume of what is happening, how can we make it better and more efficient. I want that people don't work overtime. I want that everybody is efficient in what they're doing. And so we're developing a software, a management software. We developed many predictive systems for the design. So behavioral design simulations and patents. So this one is one of those patents. How to build cloudings in interior design, and also we're doing patents in industrial design. So chairs. Now we developed very recently a rocking chair that is like a chaise longue, and in which you can adjust the inclination by just changing the gravity center of
I think I saw that
of the chair. It's called Fluence.
Yes.
So we develop it. It's we have a patent pending there, and now we are redevelop it even better to because when you do a prototype, is then you have to transform it in a real product. It's different. It's different. Now we're doing big projects. I mean, we have in Barcelona we have in the Camp Nou the store for Barcelona Club, which is 2,000 square meters, very iconic project. We're working for El Deportivo de La Coruña for the store. There's many projects in football. We did, in Bernabeu, we did the Mau restaurant. Then we have another big restaurant in Dubai.
Also airports. In
airports, we are collaborating extensively in different airports, more confidential projects.
Yes.
In Dubai, we have other projects. I mean, it's and of course, Barcelona. In Spain, we have many different projects in hospitality, in retail.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we are quite busy.
That's cool. I mean, we can see your signature. I think in each project there is the signature. This is also for us very important. As a chef, we want to make a plate that you can see without the name of a chef that this is coming from.
Yeah.
And I think in your projects you can see the signature definitely. And this is.
We have different lines. I mean, we like to. If you look at all our projects, you can recognize different lines of research that end up into different projects. Not all of them are. I mean, I try to listen very much the client. So the client input is determining most of the project, and then of course, so it's at the end is a dialogue between the client and ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. Which I'm sure now we're talking about so much success, and but there are for sure difficult moments as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Which not always going smooth, I would say. And which time you think was the most hardest time? It was in the beginning when you created.
I think the beginning was very hard because you don't. You just dream big, but you don't know how to realize your dreams. As architects, we don't learn business. We don't learn how to develop the business, and everything is new from HR to business development. So this was very hard. Fortunately, I was very young, so failure is the biggest teacher. And we went through many difficult moments. We had the economic crisis. We had in 2008. Then we had COVID. We had the war. But what I learned from 2008 is that I had to differentiate the business, and I had to differentiate the markets. So this is creating something that is more elastic and more resilient. So at the end is if a market is not working, we have another one, and then of course now it's much easier because we also built a reputation, and and basically every time I was trying to hire someone to develop the business, it was a failure because at the end is in architecture, or you compete, you participate to competition, or it's the client that is coming to you. It's not like
how many competition you did. I mean,
well, not. I mean, I select at the beginning. We did a lot of competitions. Because you don't have many real projects.
Yes.
But you have to build your portfolio. You have to build your language. We are still doing competitions, but we try to select very, very well. I mean, now, for instance, we've been shortlisted in the competition for the expo, for the next expo. So we're working. I mean, I cannot share many information, but we're working on a Spanish pavilion. We've been selected, and we're developing the project right now. But the competition are giving you the opportunity to get another level of projects. The Bernabeu Mau was a competition. The project of Barcelona was a competition. So at the end, yes, it's a combination between. And also the competitions are projects that are giving you the possibility of experimenting, of trying new things.
It's very important, I think, competition.
It's very important
to grow.
Yeah, it's growing. You're growing internally, but also as a business.
And you see what others do, and
super
important.
Of course, I mean, most of the time, maybe you lose the competition. But when you learn how to participate, then now we have a very good percentage of project that we win, maybe 50%.
Wow!
So it's a very good percentage.
Of course.
So competition, and then it's clients that are, they come here, they see these restaurants that they call me.
It's I think it
happened.
It's happened. It was an experiment. For sure. We can predict what's coming, of course, but in real, it's totally different.
No, I mean, being here, it's this is what's the difference between a painting and architecture or a sculpture. A painting is two-dimensional. Sculpture, you can go around, but architecture and interior, I mean, you go inside and you feel it.
Immerse.
So when you are here, it's much different from the picture.
Absolutely.
When I saw the pictures, of course, you say, that's very nice, interesting. But when you are here, it's a completely different feeling.
Super different.
Yeah.
And it's very positive reaction. We had a lot of architecture came here. They was wondering how we did this. These crazy things, and super happy.
But one of the most difficult things when you were saying you had the difficult moments. So one difficult moment is this one. Another difficult moment is when you have to demonstrate to your clients that you're able to materialize what you do in your visuals.
Yes.
So exactly for this reason, we started building things because there was no contractor that was confident of doing such a thing. So in this case, we built it. You remember? I mean, we shipped everything here,
and now we got a call. How you did it? I said,
exactly. How you did it? No,
give me the recipe.
And of course, this wasn't the first one. But when you have to build the first project, is when it's very difficult. So at that time, when I did this, was one of the first project in this sense was Alchimia. Another restaurant is the restaurant of Jordi Villa. And in that restaurant, we were experimenting with many technologies, many different things, and it was very challenging. Was so challenging that then we were very few people in the company, but we were very focused. Especially myself, I was fully dedicated to the project, and then once you are able to build that project, then we could demonstrate to the other clients that we were able to do it. And the more you do, the more the clients are coming because they like what you do.
Yes, they trust you and they say, it works. Absolutely. It's fantastic. Also, as we did the chair and table and everything custom made, this is fantastic. Which really super happy that we working with the company and many things in future.
Of course.
And thank you very much.
Thank you, Pietro.
Nice, wonderful discussion, and we come to the end to the series 2 Behind the Keys. Please subscribe to YouTube channel and see you soon. Thank you.
Bye.